Imagine this. You are sitting on some warm rocks by the Aegean Sea. You have sun hitting your shoulders, sipping your cold coffee, your Freddo cappuccino. Everything is calm, bright, and familiar. You stand up, you take a deep breath, and dive into the blue waters of Poseidon. But the deeper you swim, the darker it becomes. The water thickens, the light dissolves, and before you know it, you're no longer in the sea. You're somewhere else, somewhere very ancient, somewhere silent, because the waters of Poseidon, when they grow deep enough, they stop being sea and start becoming Hades. Most people imagine Hades as the ruler of a gloomy underworld, a shadowy figure that is ruling over punishment and darkness. But the ancient Greeks never saw him this way. Hades is not a villain, he's not a tormentor, he's not even the god of death. Hades is the god of depth, the invisible foundation beneath all things. He's the keeper of memory, the guardian of identity, the very force that reveals what remains when illusion collapses. So today we descend into the mystery of Hades, the god who holds the root of the soul. The name of Hades, the power of the unseen. The name Hades comes from A-idein, the unseen, the one who cannot be seen. And this is not because he hides, it is because his domain cannot be perceived by the ordinary human eye. Ancient mythology distinguishes between Hades, the invisible depth, and Pluton, Pluto, the giver of wealth, the flourishing of the hidden root. These are not two gods, they are two faces of the same reality. Hades is the unseen cause, and Pluto is the visible effect, depth and abundance, shadow and fertility, silence and renewal. Everything that grows comes from what cannot be seen. The metaphysics of nature, Physis, and the hidden root. To understand this, we must look at the Greek word for nature, which is Physis. In the West, we think of nature as the outdoors, but the ancient etymology reveals a deeper cosmic process. Physis comes from the verb phio, which means to bring forth, to grow, to sprout. It describes the movement of life emerging from the depths into the light. But for something to emerge, it must first have a source that is hidden. And this is why the philosopher Heraclitus famously said, Physis Kryptestai Philei. Nature loves to hide. Why does nature love to hide? Because the physis, the invisible growth, is entirely dependent on the Hades, the invisible depth. The word phio also carries the ancient connotation of growth within a moist, generative environment, a cosmic womb. This is the point where the waters of Poseidon meet the stillness of Hades. Hades is the hiddenness that allows emergence to happen. He is the dark, rich soil. He is the silent pressure that forces the seed to crack and life to arise. Without the concealment of Hades, there can be no revelation of nature. Hades is nature before it becomes visible. He is the unmanifested potential, the physics of the soul, the root that must remain in the dark so the flower can survive in the sun. The perfect sophist, Hades, as the teacher of souls. However, there is a common fear of this hidden realm. In Plato's Cratylus, Socrates addresses this fear directly. People dread Hades because they believe he binds the soul in a dark place forever. But Socrates reveals a beautiful truth. The strongest bond is not necessity, it is desire. Hades does not keep the souls by force. He binds them with the most powerful desire of all, the desire to become better through the company of a master. Socrates calls Hades a perfect sophist and a great benefactor. He's a philosopher god who refuses to associate with humans while they are still trapped in their physical bodies and distracted by their material urges. He only welcomes the soul when it is pure, stripped of all the noise of living, of the flesh. The dual power of the A, from invisibility to infinite wealth. Here's where the mystery goes even deeper, the linguistic secret of the name Hades. In the Greek language, the prefix alpha has a dual nature. First, it acts as the privative alpha, Ascent in Greek. It denotes what is not seen, A-idein. This is the Hades with fear, the void, the darkness, the invisible. But it also acts as the collective alpha, Athroistiko. And in this sense, it doesn't mean not, but together or total. It links to idene, which is to know perfectly. When the alpha shifts from privative to collective, Hades is not longer the god of not seeing. He becomes the god of total knowledge. He is the one who sees and knows all things, panda ta kala, as Socrates says, simultaneously. And here is the final revelation. When the human mind cannot handle the intensity of this total knowledge, when the light of truth is so bright it becomes blinding, it is the privative A that is taking over. The infinite knowledge becomes invisible to the mortal eye. And this is the exact moment where Hades transforms into Pluto, or Pluto transforming to Hades. The invisibility is not an absence of light, it is an abundance of truth so vast that it can only be stored in depths. He is the Pluto, the wealthy one, because he holds the sum of all things known and unknown. He is the guardian of the truth that the soul has been searching for its entire life. Death is not an end, it is a change of state. It is the transition from the limited observation of the flesh to the absolute clarity of the spirit. So in this sense, Hades is the greatest universal university. When you enter his realm, you don't stay because you have to, you stay because for the first time you have found the teacher who can show you the essence of your own being. You're no longer a student of the shadows, you're a student of the root itself. The host of many, Hades, and the hospitality of the soul. Contrary to the modern image of something isolated, a dark deity, ancient Greeks addressed Hades with titles like Polydectes, the one who receives many, and Polyxenos, the host of many guests. What's the idea behind it? Hades is the ultimate host. In the end, all paths lead to him. And this is not a threat, it is a cosmic democracy. Wealth, titles, social status, and the masks we wear in the world of the sun are stripped away. And what remains is the naked soul. His domain is the space of absolute equality. He does not judge you based on what you had, but on what you are. By receiving everyone without exception, Hades acts as the great stabilizer of the universe, the one who provides the final hospitality to the essence of our being after the journey of life is complete. The three realms revisited: Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. To understand Hades, we must return to the ancient triad. We have Zeus, the realm of mind, of clarity, and the intelligible light. We have Poseidon, the realm of becoming, of emotion, of incarnation, and Hades, the realm of depth, of identity, of memory, and transformation. Poseidon governs what moves within you, waves of emotion, storms of desire, currents of instinct. Hades governs what does not move, the bedrock beneath the psyche, the deep unconscious, what Jung called the objective psyche, the landscape of shadow and truth. Where Poseidon is water, Hades is stone. Where Poseidon is motion, Hades is stillness. Where Poseidon contains the story of your life, Hades contains the truth beneath them. The Bident, the two directions of descent. The Bident of Hades, not simply Poseidon's trident minus one prong. It encodes the essence of transformation. The 2 points represent the descent, where the soul entering its own depth, confronting what lies beneath, and the ascent, the soul rising after facing its truth. Every spiritual path requires both. Every myth of transformation contains both. Every human being experiences both. Poseidon governs the 3 layers of embodied experience. Hades governs the movement through depth, unmasking and remaking, dissolution and reformation, death and renewal. The Bident is the map of the soul's journey. Hades as the god of memory and truth, mnemosini, lethe, and the deep mechanics of the soul. In the Underworld, there are 2 rivers, the river of mnemosini, memory of truth, and lethe, which is forgetting. These are not places, these are states of consciousness. Hades presides over the crossroads where the soul must choose whether to remember what it truly is or to fall again into forgetfulness. Hades is the keeper of deep impressions, root memories, the patterns that shape a lifetime. And this is the realm where psychological shadow, unintegrated material, forgotten pain, buried truth, and the soul's authentic identity all live. Hades is the memory that survives death, the memory that cannot be erased, the memory that defines the very transformation. The myth of Persephone, descent as an initiation. The abduction of Persephone is the most misunderstood Greek myth. We don't have a crime scene here. It's not a violation. It's not even something romantic. It is initiation. Persephone represents the soul in innocence, the potential for depth, the unawakened seed. And Hades represents the hidden truth, the foundation of identity, and the transformative root of being. Persephone's her abduction is the moment the soul descends from surface to depth, from appearance to essence, from naivety to wisdom. Demetra's search for Persephone is consciousness seeking its lost depth. Persephone's return is the renewal of life and identity, and her time below is the soul's hidden life and hidden potential. in the realm of truth. So this myth is the metaphysics of growth itself, the psychology of descent, shadow, and the root of the self. Psychologically, Hades represents the moment you confront the fear you avoid, the shame you bury, the truth you resist, the memories you repress, the identity beneath all masks. Poseidon is your emotional turbulence. Hades is the stillness beneath the waves. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. You cannot transform what you refuse to face. And you cannot ascend without descending first. And this is why every mystery tradition contains some kind of a symbolic journey to the underground. Because the root of the soul lies in darkness, not as something evil, but as origin. Hades almost never appears in myth, and this is not some kind of weird absence, it is a doctrine. Depth cannot rise to the surface, truth cannot participate in distraction, and roots cannot become branches. Hades is invisible because the deepest causes are always invisible. He wears the kine, the helmet of invisibility, because what is unseen rules what is seen. The world is shaped from beneath. Pluto, the hidden source of all wealth. The Greeks also called him Pluto, the giver of wealth. Why? Because everything fertile, everything abundant, everything that grows begins in the unseen. Seeds in darkness, roots underground, minerals hidden in stone, renewal in the hidden places, death and wealth. Death and wealth are two phases of the same process, transformation emerging from depth. The Greeks didn't have hell. They didn't believe in hell. Hades is not punishment. Hades is reorientation. The soul enters a domain where it sees what it has done, understands what it has become, and perceives what it must become next. So this is the metaphysical pause between incarnations, the still point where the soul regains its shape. Hades is not the end, he's the turning point. So depth is not darkness, depth is origin. Hades is the invisible foundation of existence, the keeper of memory, the stillness beneath all change, the truth beneath all illusion, the root that supports the world, the inner ground of the soul. So depth is not darkness, depth is origin. Hades is the invisible foundation of existence, the keeper of memory, the stillness beneath of all change. He is not the god of death, he is the god of what lies beneath. He is the root of being, the foundation of identity, and the keeper of truth. As the dark soil of the cosmos, he embodies the eternal law of Heraclitus. Physis, Kryptestai, Philei. Nature loves to hide, because only what is hidden can remain pure. Only the unseen root can sustain the visible tree. Without Hades, nothing could stand and nothing could grow. So, to descend into Poseidon is to enter emotion. To descend into Dionysus is to enter dissolution, but to descend into Hades is to enter truth. Next episode, Hermes psychopombos, the guide of the soul between worlds. But for the time being, we have reached the deepest point of the cosmos, the root of the soul, and the very invisible foundation of the world.